Hey, how's it going, my friends? We're back. This is Lord Laved, and let's continue with our review. And yeah, let's just go for it. This is That Girl Next Door. So, my friends, as I start reviewing classic films, I want to give you the good films you can watch on your path to self-development. I think The Girl Next Door is one of those films you should watch. The Girl Next Door is directed by Luke Greenfield and written by Chris McKenna. So Greenfield is saying in interviews, I was reading some interviews, that McKenna helped him write the film. So we're gonna take his word for it, and just go with it. So I feel, and McKenna, for some of you guys who don't know him, he's worked on some of the Spider-Man films by Marvel. The latest ones where you have Tom Holland acting. So I feel the film is very wish fulfillment, similar to Shazam. You have an awkward guy, and then this hot girl moves next to his house, and she wants to hook up with him. So I feel all of that is very wish fulfillment. And Rebecca Volpetti is this adult actress, and from Italy, and Danielle here, Alicia, gives me this vibe, very similar to Rebecca's. So brief plot summary. So Matthew, played by Emilia Hirsch, is a bit of a nerd who doesn't fit in his high school. He has excelled academically and got into a prestigious college, Georgetown University. However, Matthew aspires to be a politician, and there's a lot of it's a recurring theme that he wants to be a politician. And Matthew Matthew though feels like he hasn't done anything memorable in his high school, because they're supposed to write on a journal, on the magazine, like, this is what I did for my high school, and like, this is something memorable I did. But it feels like he hasn't done anything that interesting, while he feels his classmates, despite being less accomplished academically, have done a lot more. That's when he meets Danielle, who makes him more confident. Matthew delivers a killer speech, but things don't necessarily work out exactly as he foresaw. So yeah, I won't get into spoiler territory here. So the problem was that Kelly gives Matthew a illicit substance that makes him act crazy. Yeah, the whole sequence is funny. So guys, that's what happens in this film, which I'm gonna go more and more. So I'll just do the plot summary now. So the idea is Matthew, he lives in the suburbs. This attractive girl, Danielle, he's an awkward guy, and he's very shy in high school. He doesn't succeed romantically, but he has a few friends. But then this very attractive girl, Danielle, who's an ex-adult star, comes in, and they immediately form a relationship. And then Matthew has to deal with that fact that his girlfriend is an ex-porn star. And then he has to deal with this guy called Kelly, who's Danielle's former boyfriend, and Kelly wants her to go back working, but she isn't sure. Matthew doesn't want her to go back to work. And then this third act, this idea that Matthew wants to win a scholarship for Georgetown University, and it's very competitive, and he's kind of nervous, and there's also this other idea of him wanting to bring some kid from Cambodia to study with them, and it's all this subplot, but it's this idea as well. But yeah, like, the idea is that he needs money for that, and definitely. So that's that plot outline, and in the end, he succeeds in some of his goals. In others, he doesn't. But alright, so this is what we're gonna go at, guys. So the tone of the film. I feel this is the weakest part of the film. I'm not sure if it's a sex comedy, a romance, or a nostalgic film. And this is something, as an audience member, that I'm critical of. So, because it's hard to say. At first, the imagery at the beginning suggests it'll be like an American Pie. And Greenfield talked about this as well, that people thought it was gonna be American Pie. You have all the jocks acting crazy and bullying people. So you see images of jocks pushing people around. For those you guys who are not familiar with the term jock, it means athlete. So athletes could tend to be overly confident and loud. Well, the jokes feel over the top, while the main cast feels very downcasted. And this is something that feels very mellow, and this is something that again it's a bit hard to reconcile with the film. So on one hand you have the jokes who are seem like caricatures, and on the other you have Imala Hirsch and then Alicia, and she's also very like mellow. It seems like they're on two different films. You know, they're the jokes are in a comedic film, and these guys are in a dramatic film. So this just juxtaposition leaves us wondering, who should we give our attention to? Are we supposed to be for the jokes? Are we meant to give our attention to Matthew? Yeah, and then the whole Cambodian subplot, as I said, the idea of bringing a Cambodian student to Matthew's high school or university as well. I don't think, I think specifically to the high school, it's wacky or strange. Like, I don't know why that was included, but it just seems out of line a little bit. And I feel, yeah, cinematography. So I enjoy the camera work of Jamie Anderson. For instance, the way he zooms in on Matthew when he was that word to get into Georgetown, when he got accepted. So he runs into his parents, and I feel it's intense and real time. The writing in general is also introspective. We see a scene of Matthew looking outside at the jokes, and my apologies for this typo, and he feels the tone of the film changes from warmer colors to lighter, more uncomfortable colors. So Matthew is with his two friends, and there's like a lot of lights there, and it meant for it to be uncomfortable, to show their discomfort at this. And Matthew imagines escaping the school and then a cop crashing the police car. It seemed more like a horror film. Then it switches to nostalgic and sad, and then goes back to his parents. So yeah, and this is what I'm trying to get at, guys. That the film feels like it's constantly switching tones. So we start with the jokes, it feels very American Pie, but then we switch to Matthew, and it feels very introspective. And I know Laya worked on this film Into the Wild by Sean Penn, and it's a completely different tone, that film. It kind of gives you that vibe, but then you switch to all these dream sequences that he imagines, and it just changes the tone, and it's hard to follow sometimes. So at the same time, the film does have these hot visuals. So now we're going back to one minute, guys. Yeah, this girl was texting me, but anyway, so at the same time, as I said, Anderson does the whole hot visuals. I feel like Danielle changing in her room. It reminds me of the Hitchcock film Rear Window, for those of you guys who are Hitchcock fans. Now I cover some of his work as well, because I like how it's simpler, you know. The camera work, it captures everything. And here Anderson does a good job, because we see Matthew's room, and we see that Georgetown banner there. And it tells us about his character, though it could have done even better. It could have been done even better, because Hitchcock is very, very detailed on that. But I feel, of course, the film, like, Hitchcock is all fair, and I'm sure he had a lot of freedom to add as much as he wanted. So the shot of Matthew sitting in the car and capturing that trio, sure, there's an influence of Into the Wild. As I said, guys, that tone sometimes shifts to this more Into the Wild vibe, where Matthew puts his legs and his shoes on top of the car, and then not on top of the car, but he's sitting. Yeah, he just takes off his shoes, guys, pretty much. And let's continue. So music does its job. 1 minute, guys. All right, let's continue, my friends. So what happens is Matthew put his legs on top of the car's windshield. Yeah, I just wanted for accuracy sake. You know, we all study analytic philosophy here. Like, I studied, so I really want to be very accurate on my description. So music does that job. Echo and the Bunnymen are a good addition, and the song Killing Moon. For those of you guys who are fans of Killing Moon, and this song is an 80s song, it gives me a very Joy Division vibe. There's this song by Elliott Smith. He's also in the cut For all you Elliott Smith fans, he's definitely here, and his song delivers. And most of the songs are easy to listen to. Honestly, they feel like they're accompanying the piece. In this case, what I mean by the piece is the film, as opposed to standing as a feature in itself. For instance, with Matthew and Danielle are in the car, I feel the song which accompanies them filter. And that's a good job accompanying the song. So pretty much what I'm trying to get at, guys, is that the music is primarily, it's as if it was a score. It adds to the film. It sometimes takes away from the film, but it doesn't stand on its own. It's just used when it's needed. Well, I know there's some films where the music stands out a lot more. And guys, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to break this review into 2 parts because I want to explore more. So I've talked about cinematography, I talked about the tone of the film. So let's talk about the characters. And the music, I could go into more depth, but I feel it's enough. You guys get the idea of the music. So the lead actors are very good. So Emilia Hirsch, and my apologies for the typo, is really good and serious actor. I feel he can deliver sympathy through his facial expressions. For instance, when he talks about his high school experience, you truly believe he's a high schooler, while at the same time a very talented high schooler. He also has great dialogue. For instance, there was one dialogue between Emilia and Danielle when he just says, "This is right up there." So what happens is Danielle and Matthew go into the swimming pool, his principal swimming pool, and then they have a conversation. And then Danielle asks him, "What's the craziest thing you've done?" And he says, "This is right up there." So I like that response because it is unhesitant and it shows his growing confidence. And Danielle Alicia Cuthbert is very sexy. She has a very sexy voice, and I think this is what makes her stand out. She also has this motif throughout the film of getting Matthew to do crazy stuff, like jumping into the pool, or when she takes him to a party so he can become more confident. And so there's this scene as well where they both go to a party and you see the jocks there, and then Danielle starts talking to this jock guy who later becomes a more relevant character. And we see that Matthew at first becomes more withdrawn and goes away, but then a friend of his, he runs into a friend and he becomes more confident and then goes back. And that's where this picture is from, where he kisses Danielle. So there, I think it was a natural evolution, very organic. In general, that both scenes where Matthew and Danielle are together usually stand out. And then she also says this line of the F word, she also, so when they go to the motel, so definitely like they have great chemistry. And secondary actors, so Eli, Matt's friend, also delivers a comedic relief, and he's the one saying all the raunchy dialogue and the more sex-crazed dialogue. He also moves the plot forward when he shows Matthew Danielle's tape. And yeah, guys, so definitely like Eli, and for those of you guys who know, the actor also did that Just Friends film, and he also stood out there. So Eli delivers, and in terms of lead actors, they're very good. And then the secondary actor who stands out is the character of Eli. He's also very good. But then I wasn't that sold on the other secondary characters, because they deliver weaker performances, and I'll leave all this stuff for the next video, guys. So I'm breaking it down into 2 parts, and maybe in the next video we're gonna go back and I'll explain the music much more, because I really want you guys to have this in-depth analysis of this film. And yeah, let's see. But in general, for this video, I just want to say it's that tone of the film which feels odd. And then, this other part is that everything feels like a mini arc. Like it feels like there's one arc, one story, then another episode, there's another story, So it's hard for the viewer to be emotionally invested because of how it's structured. But anyway, my friends, see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
Bye.